Here's the issue, Mark. You and I are aging, and that it's hard to stop that.
Nope,
you know
it's
what I mean?
problematic.
So we can't do the things like we used to do, which is like, stay up late at the bar, then go get a burrito, and then wake up 4 hours later, and everything's fine. We need something. How about this, Mark? How about what I've been using? Terra Origin. Because adulthood, it's hitting hard. We're dealing with it. Middle-aged guys. My knees hurt. I hurt my wrist the other day. I punched a door. Shouldn't have done that. And now my wrist hurts. This is stuff that wasn't happening when I was young. So this is where Terra Origin comes in. Are you curious why I punched the door?
Yeah, I was going to say that's a different conversation, but if you've got Terra Origin, I'm sure that you're going to be able to get your way out of that mess.
Aaron Judge grounded into a double play. Anyway, Terra Origin makes science-backed, clean supplements designed to help men perform better, recover faster, and feel good every single day. They make smart, no BS supplements that actually help you feel human again, and that's why. This is the product that you need. The best part about Terra Origin, no fluff, no fads, just premium, transparent formulas you can trust. It's like upgrading your daily routine from survive to thrive. So whether you're lifting, leading, grinding, or parenting, Terra Origin helps you show up at your best. Visit TerraOrigin.com and use the code PODCAST for 30% off your first order and free shipping. That's TerraOrigin.com. Terra Origin. Feel better from the inside out.
Hey, Ryan Reynolds here. Wishing you a very happy half-off holiday because right now Mint Mobile is offering you the gift of 50% off unlimited. To be clear, that's half price, not half the service. And Mint is still premium unlimited wireless for a great price. So that means a half day, yeah?
Give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
Upfront payment of $45 for 3-month plan, equivalent to $15 per month required. New customer offer for first 3 months only. Speed slow after 35 gigabytes if network's busy. Taxes and fees extra. See mintmobile.com.
Week 12 in the NFL. Can anyone stop the Rams? Can anyone save the Raiders? And have the Browns, Marc Sessler, finally found their savior in Shadur?
Oh, it's got my heart beating. We will see a flutter.
We hit that all right now on the flagship show. Let's go, hedonists. Hey-o! Welcome to another edition of He the Call, an NFL podcast. It's the Week 12 flagship program covering every game that was played on Sunday in our league. Dan Hanzus, Marc Sessler, Conor Orr, Justin Graver, all here to take you through the day that was. Good week, good day of games, Sassy. Good day of games.
We're on a little bit of a heater. It feels in the distance are those couple of Sundays that felt like we were watching a different sport that was both underwhelming and a bit snooze-festy. Not now. Not today.
Well, here's the thing. We're going to start with a game that was a little bit snoozy. But we did have, listen, we're going to pull back the curtain here. We had a conversation. Do we want to put Rams Bucks up top, even though we kind of had our eye on the game? It was going the wrong direction when we were recording the show earlier tonight. And we're like, you know what? We can't count out Baker Mayfield and the Bucks. We should have counted out Baker Mayfield and the Bucks.
A little bit of a slip-up.
At least on this Sunday. So we're going to start with Sunday Night Football, but we promise the game's going to get real good right after this one. Let's hit it, Justin. Yeah. A bloodbath at SoFi Stadium where Matthew Stafford continued to build on his MVP resume. I think he's the top dog in this race. I know that you can make a case for a lot of different guys, but Stafford week after week, between the team's success, now 9-2 after a 34-7 win over the Bucks, and his statistical success, it's just a sterling box score week after week after week. He's up to 30 touchdown passes before Thanksgiving. He throws 3 more in this game. Again, no interceptions. 2 of those touchdowns go to Devontae Adams. And yes, the Rams cruise and remain atop the NFC West. And Conor, I'll start with you on this one. Baker Mayfield has a hell of a time in the first half, takes some bad hits, bangs up his left shoulder, tries to tries to go deep with a Hail Mary at the end of the first half and crumples to the ground, and it's Teddy Bridgewater the rest of the way. So we're going to get to that and what that means to the Bucs and the NFC playoff picture. But the Rams, number one in our power rankings, I mean, what else has to be said? There's no team playing at a higher level in all phases right now.
I don't think, and we'll get to the Eagles later on in this, but I don't think that there's a single team in the NFL that, other than the Rams, where if you spot them a 14-point lead, and that's what happened after the pick six or the whatever you want to call it, and the Rams got up 14-0 in this game, where it feels over. And, you know, as much as we talked about the potential of, you know, Baker maybe making this game interesting, there's no give in this staff. It is just a complete all gas operation, and they can beat you in so many different ways that I just felt like there was no way the Bucs were going to come back in this one. And man, I mean, they're peaking at the right time.
They're like, everyone involved is super dialed in. Like, it's the best Matthew Stafford season. Devontae Adams, who you're kind of wondering before the season, like, who is Devontae Adams at this point? Playing great. Puka Nacua, fantastic. Like, they could completely victimize Zion McCollum in the Bucs secondary tonight. They find a way to tear you apart. And you're right. If they get up, it's hard to figure out and discern like the labyrinth that needs to be won over to get to them. They're just too invincible right now, and they deserve to be number one on our power rankings.
All right, and they're going to stay at number one. Spoiler alert, tomorrow night. The Baker situation, he comes out and joins the team on the sideline in the second half with his injured left shoulder in a sling. We're literally recording this right after the final gun, so we don't know exactly how serious this may be, but this has been an absolute nightmare of a 3-week stretch for Tampa, which, you know, 3 weeks ago, they were a team that was 6-2, viewing themselves credibly as a Super Bowl contender, and then they get beaten pretty handily by 3 actual contenders, and now the quarterback's hurt, and you just have to wonder, at the state of the NFC South now, you have Carolina has a golden opportunity. They're tied in the win column. The Falcons are probably cooked. The Saints are obviously gone, but the NFC South just got a lot messier, Connor.
Yeah, and it's hard to fathom because this Buccaneers team, what did we talk about throughout the entirety of the beginning of the season? The depth, the fact that when one guy goes down, you find 8 more, and you lost your first 2 running backs, and your third one's even better. And, you know, the fact that this was going on for so long, it's crazy to me to see the way that they've run out of gas. And I don't think that Carolina will catch them. I think that the Buccaneers will right the ship at some point, but that's all dependent on Baker at this point. And he didn't look healthy 3 weeks ago. He didn't look healthy 4 weeks ago. So I don't know if this is just kind of getting them down, the accumulation of too many hits.
We all like Teddy Bridgewater. He's done a nice job in that ad campaign. I don't think his coaching career at a lower level went very well, as I recall from various newspaper clippings. But in general, asking him to step in and pilot an NFL offense in 2025 does not seem like a recipe for success. Their season is very obviously, as we record this, at a crossroads.
Yeah, and I mean, the identity of the Bucs has been Baker Mayfield, right? And like the you take that away, if he's out for, you know, a big stretch, they're in a very dangerous place. I think the other side of it is, because it's obvious, like, we're going to focus on Mayfield's injury, but look what's happened over the past couple of weeks. Like the Todd Bowles defense that we've talked about for years as being the other part of the identity of this team. They were destroyed by the Patriots, ripped apart by the Bills, and tonight by the Rams. Like, it's starting to fall apart. Here's the thing. They play the Panthers twice over the final 3 weeks. It may come down to that, but I don't know how they get out of the rest of their schedule if it's Teddy Bridgewater in what we saw tonight. I mean, you played the Rams tonight, but it feels like it's vanishing.
Yeah. And, you know, for a little history on this. Yeah, if Baker Mayfield's still with the Browns right now, we're going to talk about the Browns later. The Browns might be in first place in their division, but he's not. But what led to Baker Mayfield leaving the Browns, or the Browns leaving Baker Mayfield and turning to Deshaun Watson, was a left shoulder injury that lingered all that season, impacted his play, and it somehow convinced the front office in Cleveland that he wasn't the answer. if this is a similar injury, you might have the similar results for Baker. And again, yes, season at the crossroads for the Bucs, and the Rams keep on not just passing tests, but they're like valedictorian right now in the NFL. They're acing every test, and they're starting to make it look easy. They're starting to roll over teams. If you look at their, let's see, they are now on a 5-game winning streak. During that 17-3, 35-7, 34-10, 42-26. And obviously 21-19 against the Seahawks, close one last week, and then today obviously a blowout 34-7. So,
and maybe like a more likable valedictorian, because a lot of times, let's just be real, when you're young and you're not fully formed, like it's the nerd, and like, we don't love the valedictorian all the time, or it's a distant remote type of person, girl, go make your little speech. Like a valedictorian. Go make your little speech, okay?
A distant remote type girl?
I don't know. They're not typically like a lot of fun to hang out with. Back in that day, they're
right,
probably
this is the valedictorian that's also the star of the football team.
Right. Bingo.
This is the valedictorian that you kind of hate for different reasons. It's like, how did you get everything?
Right.
And that's what a lot of people look at the Rams right now. So it tracks. Analogy tracks. All right, let's take a quick break, and then we're going to get into all of the Sunday action in the NFL. Stay right there. All right, we are back. All right, Sunday Night Football in the rear view. Now it's time to dig in to the rest of the Sunday slate, and we cannot do that. We will not do that without first teeing it all up with the great Marc Sessler, who every week has given us the theme of the week. So the theme of the week for week 12 is what, Marc Sessler?
It is as follows. Hang on. Is this season a fucking sex bomb?
All right, Connor. I mean, this one's pretty straightforward. Why don't you decode this one?
A little bit dicey to look into Mark's personal life and try to decode what sex bomb means to him.
Right.
In
Especially
particular.
coming off another weekend in Hollywood. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I would say very generally that we're exploding in great ways and in new horizons. And it's like being with a new partner for the very first time.
Yeah, I think you nailed it. I would add to that, after the professional sports gambling scandal broke out, strangely, you saw the meter of fun football go down for a few weeks, but now that's kind of calmed down. It feels like we've gotten back to a level where we want to be, and the games are entertaining again. I'm not making a correlation necessarily. I'm just pointing out the last couple of weeks have been great. So, Sessler, we have this one right?
You do. I know that some of them have been a bit quizzical or beguiling in terms of their meaning. A little more straightforward. I've had a great time 2 Sundays in a row, and I think that we had a legit complaint about kind of daytime Sunday football for a while, and it was legit. It's been great 2 weeks in a row, and it feels different. It's like how I felt growing up loving this sport. So it's a sex bomb.
It's good today. Let's get into it. Let's start. Yeah. Yes, Justin.
Love the theme. I will say it's going to be a bit challenging turning that into the audio podcast title this week. So we might have to come up with a workaround, but
okay. Well, we'll work on that in the off hours. Now, back to the show. There's that inner monologue again. We were supposed to put up the Christmas tree this weekend. No big deal. It's not even Thanksgiving yet. But she does love Christmas. Did I let her down? Mark, that was your cue. If you wanted to throw it in before we get in.
I don't know how to respond to that. It was just too real.
That's weird. My check engine light was on earlier today.
He's like,
one thing my dad told me was never ignore a check engine light because it becomes a lot more expensive down the line. I think I'll take the car in the morning.
I bought 3 carrots. Should I peel them and eat them before or after the show?
Is that Amy Strunk?
I don't know.
Hello.
All right, let's get to it. Let's head to Big D, where there was a big comeback. Conor Orr's worst nightmare. Everything's coming up, Jerry Jones. Go Texas! Brandon Aubrey kicked a 42-yard field goal as the final seconds ticked off the clock in regulation. And the Dallas Cowboys, behind their great quarterback, Dak Prescott, and some great plays from defense, special teams, just a total team effort, rally back from 21 down to knock off the reigning or defending champion Eagles 24-21. Yeah, this was a game. Again, you know I'm down. I am down. I'm always down on win probability, Ceci. And sure enough, after this game, you saw it. The Cowboys had a 3% chance of winning this game in the second quarter after the Eagles scored their third unanswered touchdown. And yet everything flipped in this game. And we talked about it Monday night after the Raiders stomping. The Cowboys had this 3-game window to show us something, and they showed us something tonight.
They absolutely did. And you nailed it, because it felt like two entirely separate pro football contests. Because my whole thought process coming out of when the fact you're very early in the game, the Eagles are up 21-0. The A.J. Brown drama has been tempered by big plays. They looked dominant. They were in control of a defense that we don't trust in the Cowboys. Then everything flips. And the Eagles created an environment in the second half where they went back to looking like an offense that had no room for error. But then you get a Saquon Barkley fumble. You have a punt return that's fumbled. You've got Hurts taking a terrible sack inside the 2-minute warning. It was just like the Eagles kind of claiming all the critique and stumbling and bumbling that has dogged them here and there. And I will say that there was something about this Cowboys team today. You needed to go beat a division opponent like this that is coming off a Super Bowl win. You need your best players to step up and become stars. And the George Pickens performance was illustrious. Dak Prescott played like the best quarterback in the league today. I mean, it all kind of came together, and they overcame some CeeDee Lamb drops. They overcame some of their own mistakes. But their second half performance, it's like, I want to say they saved their season because there's still a long way to go. But you changed like your season in a big way today. And you got Kansas City coming up in a couple days. Like, you can make a second massive statement. And at the end of this game, as the players of this team that have quietly been through something that we don't understand are waving a Marshawn Kneeland flag, like, I really think that Brian Schottenheimer, this was a signature win for a coach that had to guide them through this and a team that had to go through a very dark couple of days and are still in there. And to come out and do what they did in the second half today was one of the more impressive halves of football by any team I've seen all season.
You mentioned that Jalen Hurts sack, which was reminiscent of some of the bad ones that he took in the playoffs leading up to their Super Bowl run that everybody kind of conveniently forgot about once he had a good couple of games. This is the reason why they play a more condensed style of offense, because he gets really uncomfortable when he gets pressured. And to Jerry Jones's credit, as Dan mentioned during his intro there, 15 pressures in 2 games for Quinnen Williams since he's been there, 19 pressures before that all season with the Jets leading up to this point. He's turned into a different player, and without Lane Johnson in the second half, that pocket just completely collapsed. And while, yes, that sack was awful that Hurts took, and he should have just thrown the ball away. I've watched it a couple times now, and you look at the manner in which that pocket came down on him. There wasn't a lot of places he could go. There was pressure from all sides. It's been a really good job by the Cowboys defensive front these last 2 weeks.
Quinnen Williams quit on the Jets. My column. No. Here is Brian Schottenheimer after the game.
You know, you've heard me say it 1,000 times. You can't win the game in the first quarter, second, third, but you win the game in the fourth quarter, man. And we just talked about that. We shot ourselves in the foot. I told them that. But I told them believe. You know, believe in each other, believe in the fact we're going to find a way to do it.
Good quote. It's a good time to be Shotty, who's, I think, been successful so far. Even if the 5-5-1 record doesn't jump out at you, all the bad vibes of the beginning of the season, starting with the Parsons trade, and then the tragedy involving Kneeland, he's got this team really humming. And I think what I was looking to see in this game, or one of these 3 games, or multiple of these 3 games, was do something different, Dallas. Like, we know you could beat bad teams. We know there's good teams when you're sloppy that can stomp you. we kind of saw both sides of the Cowboys in this, Mark, because you saw the sloppy beginning to this game when they had 2 penalties to keep alive Philadelphia's second touchdown drive. You had Tyler Guyton with a killer false start from the 1-yard line that set up the Dak interception in the end zone. I think at that point, it just felt like, oh, this is same old Cowboys. And yet, it's like a light switch was flipped. So you just got to give them a ton of credit for making adjustments and finding a way. It's the coaching staff all the way down. And on the Philadelphia side, listen, this was the biggest Philadelphia collapse in decades. This is the biggest blown lead by a defending Super Bowl champion since 2003, the Buccaneers. And while I'm not going to go overboard with this game and say that the Eagles have been exposed or whatever, it once again does show that element of Philly where it's just like, is this team a little more vulnerable than their record indicates? I think it opens the door up for that conversation once again. Because
it's in contrast to a year ago, where if that Eagles team got up 21-0, they are in their super beautiful, lush comfort zone where you just unleash Saquon Barkley for explosive runs to utterly bury the opponent. And the exact opposite happened today. And I know, yes, A.J. Brown was more involved, but that's just one of the players on this offense. I think the Lane Johnson absence mattered more than was advertised to us at this point in his career. It seemed to make a big difference today and improve the Cowboys defense, but that's a lingering concern. And the fact that we watched this collapse in what would have been the perfect structure for the Eagles that we've known to dominate. Instead, all these questions, what's a greater division win than when you beat your opponent like the Cowboys did, and it raises like a bushel of questions, concerns. Philly radio is going to be going nuts tomorrow. You love it if you're the Cowboys.
I think Nick Sirianni is like one of the best coaches in one-score games since he's become the head coach of the Eagles. I think this is just one of those weird outlier losses. I mean, you have bad fumbles, you have missed field goals, you have stuff that, Nick Sirianni said after the game, if it's that big in totality, sure, you can put that loss on me, but I didn't see anything like clinical outside the fact that you lose one of the best offensive tackles in the NFL and you make a bunch of really dumb mistakes. Good on Dallas for capitalizing on that, but I don't know. I guess.
But it is a season where their offense has not looked the way we would expect.
Barkley, 10 for 22 today. And if you look at his entire season now, he's averaging, I think, about 3.8 yards per carry. He's outside the top 150 in the NFL in yards per carry. That home run ball continues to be elusive for this offense. And it is, they used to just knock teams out when they got ahead. They're not doing it right now. And the other weird thing about this game was Barkley had what looked to be a killer fumble in the fourth quarter. Cowboys didn't take advantage of it. They had the punt return fumble by Xavier Gipson that set up Dallas 1st and goal inside the 5. They don't convert it. They go for it on 4th down, and that doesn't work. And yet they still find a way to win and get Brandon Aubrey on the field because of, in large part, the greatness of wide receiver George Pickens, who, by the way, this is the first game I'm watching. Is this guy better than CeeDee Lamb? Because I know CeeDee Lamb is a little bit of a weird receiver because he can be brilliant. And then he'll have games like this where his head seems up his ass and he'll have these terrible drops. Then he has this weird thing where he has this ultra confident body language after terrible drops that really messes with me. And I imagine it would mess with the rest of the team too. He'll have a terrible drop and he'll be shaking his head and smiling and stuff dude, aren't you supposed to be mad or something? It's just it's strange. Here's Jerry Jones walking to the locker room, talking a little George Pickens, who, by the way, is in line for a massive payday based on this breakout season.
Well, I'll tell you, George has been such an integral part of our story. And he has his story to a degree that's our story. And I'm so proud for him. Everybody on this team is. And he certainly has absolutely been the difference as we've played over the last 2 weeks. And we can let it come as well. It's something when you've got 88 and Pickens.
All right,
he's
Connor.
made good trades. I got to give Jerry Jones
he's on
that.
a bit of a run here. He's sitting at the blackjack table and he's hit on 16 a couple times. He's getting some 5s. Things are working out.
And like a good gambler, I hedged my hatred of this entire situation by taking the Cowboys over the 8.5 wins during our August competition. So I'm good either way.
All right, there you go. What a comeback. 24-21 Cowboys over the Eagles. All right, let's move on and head to Kansas City, where the Chiefs found themselves in yet another one-score game. What would happen this time? Talked about it on the Thursday show. That's why you got to listen to the Thursday show, because then it all kind of ties together. What's weird about this Chiefs team is that they won every one-score game last year. And now they've lost every one-score game this year, entering Week 12. And yet they were a better team by almost every statistical measure. Something had to give. Was this the day where things changed for the Kansas City Chiefs? The Chiefs get a good performance from Patrick Mahomes, who threw for a season-high 352 yards. And the big rallying drive late in the fourth quarter, something that's been absent all year with this offense, ending with the Harrison Butker field goal in overtime, giving Kansas City a 23-20 win over the Colts. A big win, a huge win for the Chiefs, who really would have been in very, very deep danger to miss the playoffs if this one didn't go their way. And Justin, instead, they find a way. And it took them digging out of an early 14-3 hole. Mahomes throws an interception early. The offense can't convert in the red zone. And yet, finally, the Chiefs showed up. The Chiefs that we know, making the stops on defense and finding a way on offense.
Yeah, I think the making the stops on defense was what was the key here. They closed this game, including the overtime possession, forcing 3 straight 3-and-outs from Indianapolis. And for the Chiefs offense to get things going, they finally committed to the run game. And it wasn't super efficient, but Kareem Hunt with 30 carries in this game for over 100 yards. And that, when you do that and you commit to it and you start forcing Indianapolis to come up and play the run, you can really open other things up. And I thought Mahomes was a little scattershot and all over the place in the first half. And in the second half, really started putting it together, especially the longer the game got on, the more inevitable it felt like Kansas City's going to break through. They're going to get in the end zone. Then they did. Kansas City's going to tie this game. And they did. Kansas City's going to win this in overtime. And that's exactly what happened.
Let's hear from Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah, I mean, we've been in these games. You know, all 5 of our losses, I felt like these games where there was plays here and there that we didn't make. And we could have won all of them, and we didn't. And until you prove it, you can talk about it all day, but until you prove it, it's not going to happen. And so we were able to prove that we can win the game like this, you know, where it's not always going great, where multiple guys got to step up, and then you can make the big plays in the big moments. And I thought our guys did that. So hopefully we can build off that as we go through the rest of the season.
It was those 2 drives in the fourth quarter, the 11-play drive and the 15-play drive, that broke it open, because Sauce Gardner and Charvarius Ward were awesome in this game for like 3.5 quarters. And Lou Anarumo played a ton of man defense. He said, I'm going to take away some of your best guys. And he had what we're starting to see is like the quintessential Andy Mahomes defense, right? It's, I'm going to put 5 guys up front. I'm going to drop a different number every time, but one of them is going to be athletic enough to spy you and to keep you from running and using your legs. That really bothered him throughout the course of the game. But what's amazing about this is Kansas City still won. And it kind of goes back to my conspiracy that like this team was always really good. They're good in all the pop the hood metrics, offensively, defensively. You know, Spagnuolo had a great game today. And I think it's just a condition of the schedule. Like everything is so front loaded with some of these premier teams to satiate your broadcast partners that like you're just exhausted by November and you kind of look like shit by default. But we can see that the good teams can survive that, like Kansas City is.
And I think, like, to Dan's point about the Thursday show, like no one here was in panic mode about the Chiefs losing these close games, because intrinsically that's not who they've been. It just seemed like that was a case with this season. This is a team that piled up nearly 500 yards of offense today. And you're right, like Gardner and Ward, I mean, who they didn't have either of them 3 weeks ago. They've got both of them. It matters a lot. But 33 first downs to 10 for the Colts. And I think it meant a lot for this defense to shut down the Colts offense. Like, to your point, Justin, down the stretch, I think it was 4 3-and-outs, or was it 3? But like, it was a complete shutdown of the Colts offense. And it's like the Chiefs seemed like we inevitably know we're going to win this game. And it took everyone, and they did it. And it's like, All right, it solves our concern about this like statistical anomaly in the close games.
Let's also check our receipts. How certain were we that the Chiefs are going to break through?
Yes.
Sessy and I, the Lock Brothers. Hit us with another one, Justin. Bang!
One for each.
Club dub times 2. On the other side of it, let's talk on the other side of it here, because I thought bad Shane Steichen game. I thought it was the Colts offense completely disappeared in this game, and I thought Jonathan Taylor, who's probably the best player on the field for either team in the non-quarterback category, didn't have the role that I expected. They got very pass-heavy, and Spags had a totally sniffed out. And after the game, Steichen talked about the disappointment of not being able to get it going.
Obviously very frustrating, not up to our standards today. We got to be better, and it starts with myself. I don't know. I mean, I felt there was a lot of stuff that I wanted to get called that I felt good about in the past game. And we just weren't efficient doing it, and it starts with me.
And you called it a bad Steichen game? Shane Steichen, we heard it there. Those are two different answers I cut together. Almost every single answer in this press conference, Steichen ended with, and that's on me, or I have to be better, or I take the blame for that, which good on him for doing so. But
probably when he saw the stat sheet in his hand and it said Jonathan Taylor 16 carries. You got to give that boy the rock in a big spot in this game. When that game is tied with 8 minutes to go and you get the ball back after your defense gets a stand and you have this, hot shot offense, you got to find a way to get him in the central role of it. I just didn't think they kind of had a cohesive game plan. And I guess I'll just leave it out there that I'm not like saying, oh, the Colts are phony or whatever, but I feel like we're seeing some cracks in the veneer when we talk about who are the real top of the top in the AFC, and I need to see a little bit of a bounce back.
Like to the one thing, at least they had no turnovers and suffered no sacks today, so it moved off the terrain of like the turnover machine from the last couple of weeks. But I think they sit out there as like, are they their record, or do we need to see more? And they're a need to see more type of team.
I almost think it's more concerning if you're a Colts fan or a Colts backer that they lost this game and it wasn't one of those like Pittsburgh meltdowns where they just like these turnovers that haven't been happening all season where you can maybe say that was a fluky game. That's not who we really are. But then you can't overcome not having those turnovers. There was a point in the game where Jonathan Taylor, I think in the third quarter, had like 10 carries for 22 yards and then immediately rips one up the right sideline. But that I think was his only really impactful play. And Daniel Jones, I thought was pretty good in the first half, like hitting some throws, some tighter window throws, and the Chiefs were not getting if it wasn't Chris Jones, there wasn't really any pressure. And then in the second half, Spags really starts dialing up some more pressure looks, some blitz looks, and I thought it rattled Jones, and he was throwing off his back foot high over receivers in the second half. And that's the scary thing, is if that version of Daniel Jones shows up against this level of, this is playoff level defense, right? What are the Colts going to do in the playoffs in this kind of matchup? Is this game an indicator or just a fluke?
Yeah. By the way, they get the Texans next week. Did you see the way Texans were playing defense? Thursday night, Connor. This is the AFC South. It's just a reminder to all of us. We all just like check boxes. All right, the Colts, this is their division. That's a race, especially if the Texans step up in a big spot in that game.
And look at Jacksonville's record after this
They're right
week.
there, too, but they stink. Go ahead, Connor. Put a bow on it.
We talked about this a couple of weeks ago. The Falcons in that overtime game in Germany put the pressure packages that bothered Daniel Jones on tape. We've seen other teams try to replicate that in recent weeks, and it's just putting something in his lap, up the gaps that he doesn't want, clogging the lanes that he doesn't want clogged. And again, I just go back to, it's a condition of the schedule. Like the Colts had the Dolphins and the Titans and all these teams that you start building this groundswell momentum. The NFL has gotten so good at figuring out a way to force parity through the way that they stack their schedule. And we're seeing that now because the Chiefs are inevitable. The Colts are going to struggle to make the playoffs. And that's just, this is how it works. This is why it happens this way.
Interesting. It's getting interesting in the AFC South. All right, let's move on. Let's hit Soldier Field, where another close game decided by 3 points. And it was, if it's a close game, and it's a game being played in Soldier Field, the Bears are probably going to win. Let's give the Bears some credit. This team finds a way to win. For the 8th time in 9 games, the Bears win 31-28 over the Steelers. They get 3 touchdown passes from Caleb Williams. They get a big defensive stand in the final minutes to seal the game. And, they had to rally in the final 2 minutes the previous 2 weeks. This time, it was the other way around. They were able to stop a Steelers team that, even with Aaron Rodgers sideline, the Steelers erred on the side of caution and went with Mason Rudolph. They were able to put up points and move the ball, but ultimately could not get enough big stops. So the Bears continue to move forward and have success. And you saw some other things that, if you're a Bears fan, it's okay. This is good. Colston Loveland continues to show out a little bit now. He had a touchdown catch. They had DJ Moore, 5 receptions, 64 yards, 2 touchdowns after having catching just 1 pass over the previous 2 games. Kenneth Gainwell helped keep Pittsburgh in the game with some crazy plays, including a 55-yarder that led to a touchdown late in the first half for Pittsburgh. But ultimately, Chicago finds a way. That's been the story of their season.
How the hell did they do that without their 3 best linebackers, 2 best cornerbacks? Then Tyreek Stevenson got hurt in this game. What? I don't understand. I know Pittsburgh's offense isn't explosive, but how the hell did they manage to pull that off?
Yeah, I mean, That's I think we've been asking that question all season, right? And I think a lot of it starts with Caleb Williams, who really has made great strides this season, playing clean football. Now, this is the worst pass defense in the league statistically, so that helped. But he is finding a way, and he has this ability with his legs and with throwing to make the clutch throws. He can hit on intermediate passes, he can hit on deep passes, and I give him a lot of credit. And also Montez Sweat and that front, they stepped up and made plays in this game, and were allowed to, which allowed them to overcome mistakes. Like Caleb did have one killer mistake in his own end zone, trying to get away from TJ Watt, who stripped the ball, turned into a touchdown recovery, which was looked like it could be a game-swinging play, but instead they're able to regroup and find a way.
It's just kind of they're an interesting team, because you think where they were a year ago, coach fired, offensive coordinator being called out in public by players for lacking accountability or holding players accountable. Your rookie quarterback is melting, and here you are a year later. They've got 8-1 in their last 9 games. They spread the ball around really well. 3 different running backs involved today, 8 different receivers. They've got a lot of young weapons. You mentioned some of them are just kind of evolving as the season goes along. And I think this is one of those teams where every time we listen to a locker room speech over and over, it's they totally believe they're going to win these games. And in converse to the Steelers, that at this point almost have psychologically capitulated to the Baltimore Ravens winning the division, I just feel like I'd be much happier as a Ravens or as a Bears fan right now.
Yeah, we talked about with the Steelers, oh man, they have this big lead on the Ravens, but they got to play Baltimore twice, and they're playing in Week 18. That could be the week where the Ravens might finally catch them. They already caught them.
Yeah,
they're 6-5. They're both 6-5 before Thanksgiving.
Turtle and hare.
And just once again, yes, things change so quickly in the NFL. And it just feels like Pittsburgh's back is against the wall. The reports out there are that Aaron Rodgers will be back next week, I believe, against Buffalo. Man, that's another tough game for Pittsburgh. Yeah. So Chicago now also plays on Friday. We're now in the Thanksgiving week. As we spin forward, they'll get the Eagles. So both have tough opponents, and it is the Steelers licking their wounds. Shaq said it last week. He thought this was almost a must-win game for Pittsburgh, and I see what he's saying. It feels like it's getting late early for the Steelers as they get settled in once more in the cul-de-sac of elite mediocrity.
Shaq was also slightly agitated that the Steelers traded away George Pickens, and that seems to be a fair
what did he say exactly? What was his Shaqism on that one? Do you have that, Justin?
It makes me sick in my balls!
Poor Shaq. Poor Shaq. He's a Steelers fan. What am I
Poor
saying?
Shaq.
Yeah, let's check ourselves at the door there.
All right, let's take a break. We'll be right back.
Somebody's coming after me. You're a maniac.
Now just sit back and watch the powder keg explode.
Amy sent me an audio file.
I need to know whatever's on there.
I think we need a reckoning.
You ought to lose your license.
Keep your mouth shut.
This is out of control.
No, it's in our control. And this is gonna be fun.
And this is gonna be fun.
Doc, fall finale, next Tuesday on Fox.
Who is
the fall finale of Doc?
Who is the off-brand Timothy Chalamet goth individual? Like if you're
Yeah,
for
it's
those
like
of you,
Timothy Chalamet not.
I don't get what this show's attempting to accomplish. But
Well, we're
someone
not
else
even
can-
in. I mean, let's be real here, Connor. And you're the closest thing to a Doc fan that we have. But like, we're not even in the hospital anymore for these
No.
episodes. Now we just have some hacker kid, Timothy Chalamet not, who is planning some type of like AI rooted terrorist attack, and it's up is it up to Doc to not only like remember where her keys are because her brain's all jacked from hitting the side window, a bang into the side window. Now she's got to foil a terrorist plot. Like where? Bang into the side, bang into the side. Like that's
Super
too much
slow,
on the
though.
plate of the good doctor, Connor.
Yeah, I just keep going back to like the original premise of the show was fine. It was like
Totally
you could have
fine,
easily
right.
like it would have been fine, and it feels like I mean you guys are more connected to show business than I am, but it's like let's just take like 8 other scripts that we didn't buy and just cram them into season
Right.
2 and see if something just kind of holds on here.
Yeah, just like we were talking about, C.J. Stroud probably get his job back to the money. Follow the money. The numbers weren't great in the book in season 1, so now we're doing a goddamn soap opera. You know what I mean?
To tune in.
Anyway, I hope that's not the last episode ever of Doc because it is my favorite show.
I think it's a coin flip.
Yeah. All right, another show. The Giants every week. Every week is another show. It's the New York Giants season is what the Doc showrunner wishes Doc would be. Just like filled with just a roller coaster ride of emotions. Usually ends in heartbreak. Let's head to Ford Field. Stand back, stand back. Jahmyr Gibbs. Let's give Jahmyr Gibbs his flowers. This guy might be the best player in the NFL. He ran for a 69-yard touchdown in the first snap of overtime. Career high 264 yards from scrimmage and 3 touchdowns. And that was enough to get by Mike Kafka and the New York Giants 34-27. And I don't want to give all the credit, Ceci, to Gibbs, although I think he did all that damage on like just 15 carries. It's insane how effective he is. But you also had a kicker in Bates who pipes one from 59 out to bail out the Detroit offense in the last possession of regulation to get the game to overtime. And that was like, when we look back at the end of the season and we look back at where everyone, comes down in terms of the standings and seeds and playoffs and buys, like your kicker piping one from 59 in this year, the kicker, what a money kick. And then Gibbs took it home.
Absolutely. And it was a weird, it was a weird game for like 14 reasons, but it was the Giants that typically these Lions games, you can go and point to on tape 2 or 3 trickery-based elements that help the Lions overcome any sort of defense. But in this game, like the Giants were super aggressive. Like Gunnar Olszewski threw a touchdown to Jameis Winston for 33 yards that had Winston like rolling through the defense like a wild man.
There was a miss.
Yeah, exactly. It was amazing to watch. There was a 39-yard flea flicker from Jameis to Wan'Dale Robinson, who had a great game. And the Giants, like Connor, you made this point previously that Kafka, for anything, for whatever you want to say about him or whatever his future is, hyper aggressive. It's like put yourself out there and advertise what you can bring. And I think he's doing that with this Giants team. But it was more than 1,000 yards of offense in this game. And and it looked like that. But Jahmyr Gibbs, I wrote the same note, Dan. I was like, outside of like removed quarterbacks and maybe like Myles Garrett, is this the best player in the league. Like, he just looked like it today, and they could not stop him. And he paved the way. It wasn't just him, but he paved the way and a wide road to overcome the Giants. And the Giants, they needed the Giants to have a Jameis Winston interception at the end. Like, this was about to be a wild upset that would have put the Lions in a really rough place record-wise, but they used their best player to make sure that didn't happen.
Let's hear from Dan Campbell on the great Jahmyr Gibbs.
Gibbs, he's electric. And, man, when he found a crease, he was going to the house. This was not about first downs and, picking up a few yards or explode. I mean, this guy's going to the house, and he's got the juice to make it happen. He's got vision. He's a difference maker. So he bailed us out today in a big way.
I love that he's like scratching himself at the podium. He's such like a large Sasquatch-like individual that just has no niceties in terms of like being in public.
He's like Shrek or something.
He's just like talking. He's like, yeah, and then he's just like, like hold on, and just like burps and like rubs his stomach and is like, we really got out there and got after him. But it was such a Jameis paint by number game that you could follow along on Twitter, and there were Jameis experts who are saying like, okay, now here's the big pick, and it happens in real time, and it's almost like he has an Andy Kaufman like commitment to being himself in such a weird way that like it has to be performance art at this point. Like there's no way that what he's doing is just that replicable unless it's like it would be so funny if I threw a pick here, and he just does it.
It's almost like Kaufman. It's like the Giants have reached just like the peak of whatever it is that this type of season can be. It's just art, because now you have exactly the right quarterback in, don't give a quarterback in Jameis Winston, the all-time DGAF quarterback. And you have in Mike Kafka, give him credit for this, and I know he got some criticism for some decision-making late in this game, eschewing a field goal that would have put them up 6, that would have required Detroit to go all the way down the field. And I'm not going to get on him about that, because I think Kafka is doing what all interim coaches should do, which is just hang onions and go nuts, because that's the only way you can keep the job, is if you actually instill some type of culture like, whoa, this is the guy we've been waiting for, and get the fans on your side and get the WFAN hosts on your side.
He looks like everything, a coach too.
Yeah, I like everything that the Giants are doing, except for how every game ends, which is terribly, which is why they're 2-10 and 0-7 on the road.
That's the one thing, Conor, that's not changed, right? Because like the Brian Daboll story this year was like, you've got this thing for 58 minutes, and then the floor falls out and you fall into an abyss. And the same thing did happen today.
Legitimately, factually, the only team to have lost 2 games this season, putting up 500 plus yards of total offense. But I did think a couple times over the course of this game that if Cam Scatabo was in this game, they would have won by 10 points. Like Tyrone Tracy, there was a couple times when he just had these wide open swaths of field and he just like died. And I didn't understand what happened. Like sometimes the run game just melted down on them, and they had space and they had room to go. And then seeing him juxtaposed with Jahmyr Gibbs was stunning. Just the change in athleticism and talent there. My God. I mean, it was like 2 different planets.
A couple other odd things from this game. Amon-Ra St. Brown had 2 drops. I think he had 1 drop in, what was the number? He had 1 drop on 152 targets last season. He had 2 today and 4 on the season. I'm not concerned about it, but it is notable. And as I was saying, Jahmyr Gibbs, 219 yards on the ground on just 15 carries. That is an average of 14.6 yards per tote.
It's wild. And 11 catches.
Throwing 11 catches as well. So I think Campbell put it well. He bailed them out. The Detroit defense has got to be better. Listen, Detroit came very close to falling to 6-5 and getting beat by a 2-9 Giants team. And they're playing again, obviously, on Thanksgiving. They got to tighten up the operation, but they do find a way, as good teams tend to do. So let's move on to, I know where we're going. We're going to Cincinnati. We're on to Cincinnati. Remember?
It's not this funny now, considering the coach who said it.
Remember that? They get beat by Duke this weekend? Christian Laettner on that team? What are we doing? Christian Laettner, what? Idiot. Here we go. Mike Vrabel and the New England Patriots are 10-2 They keep winning. 9 straight victories. This one was ugly. This one came at a cost. But they do find a way. They're getting the defensive stop of Joe Flacco in the final minutes to hold on to it for a 26-20 win over the Bengals, who are, by the way, 3-8. And I know Burrow practiced in full all week and was with the first team, and Cincinnati does make the decision here to keep him on the bench, and I understand it because he is the franchise. But now they're on a short week because they're playing on Thanksgiving night, and you're 3-8 now. So it's like, what are we gonna? So what's the goal here? We're just gonna put in Burrow. Is he 100%? Because you now have to win 6 games in a row, and it's just not realistic because they blew every opportunity to keep their season alive when Burrow was out, and this was no different. I don't think New England played great in this game. Drake May especially was not sharp early on, including throwing a pick 6, the first of his career. Cincinnati got out to a 10-0 lead, but then they just kind of let it slip away, and the Patriots, as they have shown all season, they take advantage of your mistakes, just like Joe Flacco throwing a ball that Marcus Jones picked off, and he goes the other way for 33 yards for a pick 6. Their kicker, Andy Borregales, has been really good for them. He had 4 field goals in this game, and they just keep on winning. Now, the injuries are a big part of it, boys. I just want to get this out there. Will Campbell, their star rookie left tackle, had a knee injury, carted off, has the towel over his head, looks like a potentially season-ending knee injury. Left guard, Jared Wilson, injured an ankle on the game's first series. We got a report, there's reporting out there that both these guys sustained injuries that look like sprains rather than season-ending injuries, and that could be a season saver for the Patriots. So war of attrition for New England. They get the job, and they get some good news on their offensive line after the game.
Like when we talk about Lane Johnson being in or out of the lineup with the Eagles, there's a big body of work to show the difference there and how it affects the offense. But we don't know that with Will Campbell. So your hope tonight as a Patriots fan that it is a sprain or something that ensures he'll be back when things really matter. This is a wild. I mean, I think if someone had offered you to put money on this before the season, the Patriots finished undefeated in October and November for the first time since that 2007 year. Like, this is happening very fast. And they weren't perfect today, and they found a way to still win. I think that matters a lot, to learn to win different ways. But what happened with T. Higgins, by the way, because he was also injured, right? Like, this Bengals team is cooked, man.
I know. Actually, it's funny because they're down 6, and Flacco's got the ball at midfield. And I think I even texted our group chat. I said, is Flacco about to beat the Patriots with Jamar Chase suspended and T. Higgins in a dark room because he has a concussion? No, he doesn't get it done. But that's what happened to him. He went up to get a ball and came down and landed awkwardly. And now he's in the concussion protocol on a short week. I didn't even think of that. So now you get Jamar Chase back and maybe Joe Burrow, but you don't get T. Higgins. It's been that kind of year for the Bengals. Here is Mike Vrabel talking about the injuries and the struggles and overcoming it for the Patriots, who are now 6-0 on the road.
That's what happens in this league. You know, you need everybody, and you go through the season, you go on the road, and you know it's tough. And nobody wants to talk about numbers and records. That doesn't mean.
All right, Mike, calm down. Talk about guys that are feeling it, man. Mike's feeling it. And I would be too if I've won 9 in a row.
Yes, you would.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, they're taking advantage of a soft portion of the schedule. It's going to tighten up later. They get the Giants on Monday Night Football next week. But listen, hats off. 9 in a row is 9 in a row. And after another Bills loss on Thursday night, they have a stranglehold, not just on that division, but now the top seed in the AFC. The playoffs going through Foxborough. It really is a nightmare coming to life for the good people of the world. All right, let's move on to Lambeau Field, where we could see if Noin could get something going. Spoiler alert, no. Not good. Not good for the Minnesota quarterback. The Green Bay Packers, on the other hand, they're slowly putting it together. And it's good to have depth. With Josh Jacobs out, Emmanuel Wilson steps in. He runs for a career-high 107 yards and 2 touchdowns. and you get mistake-free football at the quarterback position once more from Jordan Love, and the defense does the rest, stifling J.J. McCarthy and the Vikings offense. McCarthy threw for, I believe, 87 yards in this game. Final score, 23-6. Connor. Where do you want to start on this one? Take it away.
All right, let's get the 9 discourse out of the way.
Okay.
There are 2 absolutely stunning statistics from this one. The first one from our buddy Arif Hassan. So if you take out like kind of the quick little dropbacks, like the designed screens and stuff like that, this was the 344th ranked quarterback performance of the year out of 346 in terms of EPA. So the second worst.
The previous weeks can't be much too far behind that. I mean,
so
this
if
is
you
getting
take
bad.
if you take a collection of all of his dropbacks and you put him against every quarterback since 2000, he is the worst since Jamarcus Russell. And they're the bottom 2, so it's like 851 and 852.
The biggest first round bust of the century. For those that don't know, he went first overall to the Raiders in 2009. He didn't do any homework. They once gave him a blank disc that they said the playbook was on, just to test him. And then when he came back after the weekend or whatever, like, hey, how's the playbook look? He's like, oh, it looks great. And they're like, oh, this guy's the fucking worst.
Blank disc. That's how long ago that was.
Now, I'm just saying that's Jamarcus Russell. That's not what we understand J.J. McCarthy to be, but he is obviously frustrating to watch if you're a Vikings fan. And I would imagine if the best wide receiver in the world was on that team, he'd be frustrated too. Here's Justin Jefferson after the game.
Yeah, it's frustrating. It's frustrating to lose. It's frustrating to, to be up here and say the same things every single week and expecting for something to change the following week, and we're still in the same spot. So we just got to figure it out and see the things that we need to change and get better.
I don't know, because I think the argument on why J.J. McCarthy, inexperienced as he is and was that you've got a great team around you. You've got a Brian Flores defense that at times has been dominant and put you in a good position. You've got star wide receivers around you. But when things don't go well, like all of that becomes probably a hothouse inside the locker room, because we're 2 or 3 weeks removed from J.J. McCarthy marauding into the locker room with his eye paint and everyone loving him. But it's like things can turn sour pretty quick when you've got I don't think Justin Jefferson's a diva, but he's one of those wide receivers. I mean, right now it's like, that salt, the old salt girl, when it rains, it pours on the salt containers. Like,
yes.
Well, I mean, some probably don't. But like, your days away.
We've been down this road before. No, you brought that analogy up, and we were like, "What is he talking about?" And
I had to go find the label of the salt.
Well, it is a product from one's youth. But
yes.
Here's how it gets worse. They play Sam Darnold and the Seahawks next week. That's pretty rough.
No, it's not good. And where are they? They're 4-7 now, Connor. And I was curious if KOC was going to say anything after the game in terms of, do you give this guy another mental health break? But it's like, I don't think you can. I feel like they have now, like I've said 100 times, boxed themselves in a corner where it's like, you got to ride it out and see if he can get it straightened out. But I don't know. He should probably stop talking to the media and saying he's a cork that's about to explode and then throw for 87 yards. I mean, there's a lot of things that need to be cleaned up over there.
It was strange too, because they reported during the game that he apologized to all of his teammates basically and thanked them for their patience as he grows. And I feel like he's trying so hard, and you have so much empathy for him, but outside of scripted plays, I mean, I did this look back 2 weeks ago. Outside of the first 15 plays, he's non-effective. He's a non-presence. And it makes me wonder a little bit why, if you're Kevin O'Connell, why can't you puppeteer him a little bit, kind of what Sean McVay did with Jared Goff early in his career, where he was in his headset until like right before the cutoff, right? Helping him read the defenses, showing him where the ball is going to go. Can't you kind of reorient your process?
It's possible he is doing that.
I know, but that's the thing. It's like
it could be even worse than we realize. Like,
yeah,
because KOC is a guy we all universally know to be a respected guy. And if McCarthy can't get it figured out with him, I don't know if he does. Still early, but I don't know. It's not been good. How about the Packers side of things?
I mean, this was to get that performance. Matt LaFleur offenses can't thrive without that premium rushing game. And to be able to have that, Jordan Love looked more comfortable. He was able to spread the ball around. The loss of the tight end didn't seem to really affect them as much. Micah Parsons was great on the other side of the ball. So this was like your complete tap in Packer victory. They just look a little bit different than they used to on the personnel front. But I mean, this team is just kind of like in a non-sexy way, just managing games. They're taking Jordan Love's worst impulses away, and they're just finding ways to control the game on the ground, which is exactly what they want to do.
And they did it without Josh Jacobs, Matthew Golden inactive. And depth is everything. And Emmanuel Wilson looked good when he replaced Jacobs a week ago. And he had 107 yards today. And it's like, that stuff matters.
Also, I just want to give you're welcome, Packers fans. You're welcome, because ever since I kind of called out Micah Parsons, he's been an absolute menace at the highest level. He had a huge game. As I understand it, this is one of those Game Pass games. I got to go back and check it out. But he abused Christian Darrisaw by all accounts. He had a 2-sack day, and now he's at 10 sacks through 11 games and is on a warpath. So I don't know, after a bit of a rocky middle part of the season, Connor, it seems like Green Bay is starting to find its feet a little bit, and now another big test in Detroit on Thanksgiving.
Well, that's the thing. Like, you need to see them against teams like Detroit again, because when Micah Parsons can go against an offensive line that's being piecemealed together and against a quarterback who can't operate a functional NFL offense, he's going to destroy people. We saw that in Cleveland, and we'll talk about that in a couple minutes. But I need to see that on a more consistent basis. I still am not sold that this team is playoff bound at this point. I just don't know if they're that good beyond some of the injuries that they've sustained, but this is one of those games they had to win, and they won it.
All right, let's move on. Let's head to Baltimore. The Ravens had to keep winning. Let's see if they could do it against the lowly New York Jets. The song's a little too, propulsive to talk about this game.
This is a little bit like 80s jazzercise, step up, step down kind of.
Yeah.
Don't you want me, baby?
This game was like watching like a turtle cross the 405. You know.
Okay, I got you.
With the appropriate results.
Anyway, the Ravens, still don't look like the Ravens, okay? So there's the bad news. The good news is, as long as you're playing teams like the Jets, that's not going to be much of a problem. Just stack the win and keep trying to figure things out. 23-10, Ravens over Jets. Derrick Henry scored 2 third-quarter touchdowns, and Baltimore gets it together after a very lackluster first half in which they were held to a field goal and were down after 2 quarters. So that's 5 straight victories for the Ravens. As we said, they're now tied with the Pittsburgh Steelers atop the AFC North, and all seems to be well, not quite. I'll just say this about this game, Mark, as I throw it to you, because I know you watched it closely. Like, my big takeaway from this game, I knew they were going to win, the Ravens. The Lamar Jackson, the lack of athleticism and the lack of escapability, and that element of his game that is clearly still not there, it makes them a much more earthbound operation. So it's just something to continue to keep an eye on, despite the fact that they are ostensibly one of the hottest teams in football.
From a win-loss record, one of the hottest, yes. I am totally with you. They're completely uninspiring to me. I get that they're going to make the playoffs and probably win.
In fairness, you hate them with a deep
No, but
passion.
let's remove that, because I think it's just that even when we talked about them surging down the stretch, and it starts and ends with Lamar Jackson, like, you're expecting to see last year's Lamar Jackson or a different, a healthy. I don't think he's healthy, and they've been asking him, and he's kind of hedged it a little bit, but like, he's just not healthy. He's not 100%. Like, they've talked about keeping him out of practice every Wednesday, which they've done in the past, but it's like they're just trying to manage his health. Like, he has no elusiveness. And when that happens, like, you look at the score was the score, but the Jets held him to 72 yards in the first half. And it felt to me like it could have gone in a different direction and been a signature Sunday for New York. And the Jets aren't there yet, but neither are the Ravens. If we're talking about how special they are and where they're going to go, they're not. They're a meat and potatoes type of team right now that are about 3 injuries away from having almost no meaning in the National Football League beyond appearing in the playoffs potentially and then disappearing.
Whoa. Do you think that there was an active effort by him, though, to not move around? And, like we've seen some of these quarterbacks where that you're in a position where you could probably just kind of briskly walk past your opponent. And do you think that that's kind of part of the injury effort on his part? Like, does it look like he's actively trying not to run? Does he just look pained when he's running? What's the...
He just doesn't look himself.
Yeah, I want to call attention to one play in particular. I wish I could tell you exactly when it was, but... it was about midway through the game, and he scrambles, gets out of the pocket, and then gets to the second level of defense, and he gets kind of dragged down from behind, and then he pounds the turf like 3 times with his hand, and I could tell he's doing it because he's like, damn it, I can't hit that extra gear that allows me to turn that 3-yard game into a 23-yard gain. And it's such a big missing element of their offense, because even with Derrick Henry scoring 2 touchdowns in this game, and statistically, I know his numbers are where they usually are. I don't think he's the same guy this year either. And I know Lamar's not the same guy he is this year as he's been in the past. And outside of Zay Flowers, I still see a team that doesn't have a lot to go to offensively. So I don't want to dwell too negatively on it, Mark, but it did stand out to me that this was a little bit harder than it needed to be against a Jets team that, by the third quarter looked like they were ready to pack up.
And I'm not looking to verbally hammer them like left and right every time we talk about them. I just think that this isn't a special team in the AFC. They
not
are
right now.
They just don't look like themselves.
And I'll just give a quick summation of the Jets. It remains a very open question whether Aaron Glenn is the right guy for the Jets. And I know he likes to present himself as bold and in the mode of like a Detroit Lions type figure. But it happened again in this game. They decide to go for it on 4th and 2 from their own 42. This is a game where the defense is really playing well. It's a 1-score game at this point. And it's not so much going for it. It's the fact that Breece Hall's not on the field for this, and he wasn't on the field for 3rd down and short. And then after they go for it, it's just like an awkward play. He throws it at a receiver that's not even looking, and it's just like, what's happening next. This is what happens with truly bad teams. You're fighting hard. You take a chance like that. You want it at least to be a well thought out risk that you're taking. It didn't feel that way. Tony Adams, who is terrible in their secondary, makes a bad pass interference, sets up the Ravens at the goal line. Henry goes in, game over. And it's just like, I just don't know about the leadership of this team. Tyrod Taylor is better than Justin Fields has been. They actually let him throw the ball, which was nice. They have some pieces. Some of the guys that they brought in, whether it's pickups and trades or whatnot, have given them something, including John Mechie, who's, I think, been pretty good for them since they picked him up. But, it's just tough to watch a bad team knowing there's no margin for error, and then they traded away their best player. So it's like, what are we even doing here? What are we doing? 2-9. 2-9. Anything else on this one, Mark?
No, I think we wrapped. I think we put a bow on that, if that's what we want to call it.
All right, great. Let's take a break. Let's take a shower, and let's dig into the rest of Week 12. All right, we are back. The Seahawks. All right. Seahawks coming off a tough one. What would the doctor order for any team coming off a tough loss? How about the Tennessee Titans? To Nashville. Woof. They stink, them Titans. Sam Darnold, coming off the worst game of his Seahawks tenure, looks a lot more like the Sam Darnold we've seen for most of the year, throwing for 244 yards, 2 touchdowns. The big play, a 63-yard touchdown pass to Jackson Smith and Jigba in the second quarter. Very nice. 30-24, Seahawks over Titans. That is the 5th win in 6 games for Seattle, who stay hot on the heels of the Rams in the NFC West. The Titans, meanwhile, fall to 1-10 and 0-6 at home. Justin, what did you see from the Seahawks in this one?
Yeah, this game was more competitive than I was expecting. 6-point win for Seattle, but some of that was a little lipstick on the pig. Titans score with like just over a minute left, fail to secure an onside kick. Seattle wins it. But the number one takeaway from this game is Jackson Smith-Njigba continues to play like the best wide receiver in the National Football League with, do you have 167 yards today?
He's on a 2,000-yard pace. He's above a 2,000-yard pace.
He broke the franchise record.
Yeah.
Yes, those were the next two statements coming out of my mouth. But yeah,
Gotcha.
that's just where he's at. I mean, 2 touchdowns.
They gotta let Justin talk. Go ahead.
Well, that was a little rude of us. So continue.
No, your guys are fine. The 63-yard one
Sorry,
was.
Justin.
Clint Kubiak has been doing this all year, playing with personnel groupings and everything, and he manages with pre-snap motion and different alignments and stuff to get Jackson Smith-Njigba matched up one-on-one with a Titans safety. And like this Titans safety, Amani Hooker, is a good player, but no safety in the National Football League is going to cover Jackson Smith-Njigba on a slot fade when he has 20 yards of space to build up speed and stop that in one-on-one coverage. Nobody's going to be able to do that. So Clint Kubiak continues to get him lined up with advantageous matchups on an almost per snap basis. There was a point in this game where Darnold had like 160 passing yards and Jackson Smith-Njigba had like 120 receiving yards or something. He had like almost all of the Seahawks yards at one point in this game. And I think the other big takeaway for me is their depth is underrated and maybe not talked about outside of Seattle's market. They have this guy, Patrick O'Connell. It's been on the practice squad all year, elevated for this game because Ernest Jones is out. And he is smashing into people. The physicality this defense plays with, finished with 9 tackles, a guy you probably never heard of, had a great game. And I think the Seahawks, this game was a little closer, and they've been doing this a little bit with some teams where like the game's a little closer final score than maybe you expect or want. But ultimately, they were never really in jeopardy of losing this game.
I was happy to see Darnold airing it out and not looking gun shy after what happened last week. Here is Mike McDonald on his quarterback.
Well, actually, he was a spark for us. The big touchdown to Jax, like to see his emotion and his excitement, I thought really got the team going, which is something that we needed. So, like we said, same guy, just ripped it, did a great job. There's some plays that we want to improve on, we want back, and learn from those plays, just like the rest of the team. But thought Sam played good football today.
What's like when I think of Sam Darnold, because I feel like he's prone to this. It happens to him all the time because they have a defensive-minded coach. Like Clint Kubiak's going to get a job somewhere, and he's going to have his like 18th offensive play caller in his career. They really work well together. Justin, though, was this Cam Ward's best game? Because I was watching this out of the corner of my eye, and like it seemed clean. He was good on the ground. It just seemed like he took a step here.
Yes, this was Cam Ward's best game as a Titan. He was making play. This was the first time I felt that he was elevating the offense around him. Like I really think he put the offense on his back to carry them. For the second straight week, he leads them in rushing yards. They have like 25 rushing yards outside of his production on the ground, which is just abysmal and doesn't help any quarterback. Converted a number of third downs, was making incredible plays out of structure, had what I personally think is the throw of the weekend, getting knocked out of bounds right at the sideline, across his body, over the middle, to his buddy, Xavier Restrepo, who finally got the call up from the practice squad, undrafted free agent who played with Ward at Miami. And he just like, he didn't make a mistake in this game, which I think it's probably the first time I can say that this year. He had a very couple missed throws, like 2 missed throws, and that's it. And I think he really showed us he's the franchise quarterback the Titans been looking for. It's very similar to what Drake May went through down the stretch last season, where he really started showing those flashes. This guy is the guy in a terrible environment, and that is not an independent thought. Somebody tweeted that. Somebody national who doesn't have Titans bias tweeted that, and I can't remember who it was.
Jane Pauley, I believe.
Okay. But he was great in this game. The rest of the Titans' offenses, I mean, they have young rookies making plays, but the rest
Ralph
of the team
Macchio that sent that tweet.
Yeah, probably.
That is good, Justin. Like, that is
good. I'm happy for that. That's great.
Something
That's
like
what
that
you're looking
happen.
for.
Yeah.
You need the quarterback to show growth. Connor, put a bow on it.
Another bow.
Connor saw 0 seconds of this game. I'm guessing. I don't know.
I'm just really happy for Justin.
So happy for you, bro.
Rookie
Good stuff.
returner Shimere Dike had a 90-yard punt return touchdown and could be an all-pro return man as a rookie.
Cool.
By the way, it was last night around 11:30 p.m. that I was scrolling through Twitter and realized that Justin had posted, I believe it was Twitter, a hype video from the Miami Hurricanes of Cam Ward and this Restrepo fellow in their college tape together. I was like, this is a true fan. He's involved here.
Let's head to the desert of Arizona. Trevor Lawrence. Trevor Lawrence had the most Trevor Lawrence-y game that's ever been Trevor Lawrenced. And it was enough when you're facing the Cardinals, put it that way. Lawrence made the big throws when it counted the most, including a late touchdown pass that allowed the Jaguars to escape with a 27-24 win over the Cardinals, improving to 7-4, and yes, right behind the Indianapolis Colts now in the AFC South. Justin, you were on this game. A lot of fun, kind of chaotic.
Yeah.
A lot of energy in this one.
This game was a little drunk, I think. I still don't think Trevor Lawrence is playing that well. I think he really struggled in the first half to see things.
He is all over the place.
Holding the ball way too long. I mean, he turned the ball over 4 times in this game. 3 interceptions, got strip sack, ball pop in the air. Walter Nolan catches it. The first-round rookie for the Cardinals scores his first career touchdown. And then the fourth quarter of this game was just absolutely so much fun, chaotic back and forth. Ends up in overtime. The Cardinals offense just can't make enough plays, or the Jags defense really stepped up and made the plays when they needed to. And to survive that many turnovers and that much of a turnover disparity really shows that this, I think, is a complete team. And that to me is the difference this year, is that while Trevor Lawrence hasn't taken the step that a lot of people hoped and expected he could take necessarily, is that the team around him, they don't need him to. Like, he can just be sort of more of a game manager. Like you said, make the throws when you need to, throw that touchdown pass at the end. He had a chance a possession before that to seal it on a 4th and 1, and they go for it and they don't come up with the conversion, and he gets another chance and does come up. So as long as he can make those plays when they need to, like, this team can hang with just about anybody. And on the right day, like we saw a few weeks ago, they can smash somebody. But I do think Lawrence has limitations that are going to limit the long-term upside this season for what the team can do in the postseason.
I know Jonathan Gannon, I think, said something like this: the decision was dope as hell. But why did Jacoby Brissett throw 90 yards beyond the marker on 4th and 4 when they had a potential to set up a game-tying field goal? He didn't have single coverage. Looked like he had a guy that was open that could have made a defender miss 2 maybe to get a first down. What the hell happened there?
I honestly don't know.
Dope as hell.
Yeah, maybe he just didn't want to throw it short of this. I don't know. I mean, did he see a matchup he liked down the field? What? That's a great question, because
that's Jake Brisket, baby.
Yeah,
he was looking to make it happen, Captain.
He had a decent game overall, over 300 yards. He set the completion record last week. His jersey's going to Canton for that, I think, because he.
No, don't get me started on that.
No, that's not.
I saw a tweet of that.
That doesn't work around.
You
here.
lost by 20 points. You lost 42-20. And they have this things in Canton, the jersey, the whole uniform, and it was too. I couldn't see what the inscription was, but it's I hope we note pretty high in the lead here that though they were getting blown out by 30 points in the second quarter, and none of the completions meant a damn thing, he did technically have the most completions ever. Let's have a higher bar.
Dope as
Canton.
hell.
You want an inverted pyramid on the inscription in Canton? Is that
I never thought we needed to put any type of guardrails into Canton in terms of what should be in there and what shouldn't. But yeah, that certainly qualifies. I also want to say Michael Wilson for the Cardinals. Yeah. He's a dude. He's a dog. He's gotten this opportunity with Marvin Harrison out, and he's 2 straight weeks over 100 yards, looking like a true playmaker. Trey McBride every week's going to give you games and be productive. But, he does a double move there, Wilson, late in the regulation, runs it beautifully, totally toasts the defender, and Brissett hits him, maybe underthrows him just a little bit, which leads to him getting brought down inside the 10, I think it was. And I think there's 6 seconds left. No timeouts, right? After they get to the line, instead of spiking it, they try to run a play. It's incomplete.
Yeah,
and then they bring out the kicker for the field goal. And I'm like, 6 seconds on the clock. You are who you are. You are where you are in the standings. Like, try to win the damn game there. I thought
totally
that was
agree.
a little curious too.
I think they botched the whole sequence because the fact that they only got one playoff is crazy.
Right. You got to get to the line, and that's on Jake probably too, but you got to get to the line. You got to spike that football and then give yourself at least one chance and maybe two to win the ball game. Instead, they settle for 3, and then that ends up not being enough. I mean, Zumwalt and the Cardinals fans know it. This is a team that is like the New York Giants, will always find a way to lose. And when that happens and there's talent on the roster, go check what's going on with the coaching staff.
I agree 100% because when the people in charge are making this decision at the end of the year, those are the moments they're going to evaluate. It's not like, oh, was your starting quarterback on IR? Oh, we're just going to throw our hands up. It's like, no, Jake Brisket played really well in this game, and you had a chance there, and you botched it. And that's the whole point of being a head coach, is to not botch those moments and to put your team in a position to win the game, not in a position to blow the game, which the Cardinals...
Have them prepared for that moment.
Right.
Have them prepared.
It's frustrating.
I don't know if they are a prepared team. All right, let's move on. Let's head to Las Vegas. Raiders football is so depressing, man. You got a mausoleum on the Strip. Nobody even goes to Vegas right now. The whole city is a bit of a bummer. Everybody just goes in there and has a great old time, including the Cleveland Browns. Good for you, Sess Dog. What a fun game this one. I had eyes on this one, and I was enjoying it because people focus on Shedeur Sanders because he made the start and he became the first Cleveland Browns quarterback to win his first start. And I don't know what the stat was, Mark, like 1 million years?
Well,
1.3 million years?
17
like
in a row have lost. You have to go back to Eric Zaire, who was Vinny Testaverde's understudy in like
That's
95.
a long time ago, people.
Yeah.
And Sanders he made some plays in this game, and we'll get to Sanders, but it was the defense of the Browns that won this game. 10 sacks of Geno Smith. 10 sacks, including Myles Garrett continuing his journey, which I feel like is starting to feel inevitable, to giving the sack record its dignity back. He has a couple more in this game, and he has already set the Browns record. And I think he needs 6 in the last 7 games.
I think it's 5 in the last 6.
5 in the last 6, to set the NFL record that Strahan stole from Gastineau 25 years ago. Anyway, Browns 24, Raiders 10.
I'm going to get my sack
Sess
back.
Dog. Or Connor, excuse me. You had the eyes on this one, Connor.
Yeah, so we'll start there. I have no idea how, even deep into this game, it was like Stone Forsythe one-on-one against Myles Garrett. And it was one of those
poor
things
bastard.
where, you know, Ross Tucker had the game, and early on he was talking about, the technicality, the moves. Myles Garrett was just running around him and then just sacking Geno Smith. Like, there wasn't physical contact. And then Ashton Jenney, they were keeping him in sometimes to protect, and there were times where he just moved out of the way, and he was like, all right, you can just go and tackle the quarterback. Geno Smith was terrible in this game. He couldn't throw with any degree of anticipation. If he had thrown the balls the way that Chip Kelly designed them to, the times that they would have won this game despite being sacked 10 times. I mean, they had open receivers in this game. The whole thing was, I apologize to Raiders fans on social media during this. I was like, I had no idea how bad it got. It's been like 2 weeks since I've kind of checked in there. This is awful. It's unwatchable football.
This was their worst game too. I think the Raiders. Sorry,
we just saw the Monday night game wasn't that good either. I think Pete Carroll's in a little bit of danger now. I want to just again shine the light on Myles Garrett, Mark, because he's the first player in NFL history with 12 plus sacks in a 4-game span. That I don't know what's going on with the Raiders. I got a feeling if Pete Carroll doesn't get fired, Chip Kelly's going to be miles away from this team the next time they're playing relevant football next fall. Like leaving Stone Forsythe on an island repeatedly against the greatest pass rusher of this generation is a fireable offense, quite frankly.
And Ross Tucker made the great point too, and he did make up a lot of time in this game and make up a lot of sacks, but this was probably the largest block of time that the Browns defense has had a lead all season, right? And Myles Garrett is getting a lot of these sacks and it's not padding at this point because this team almost never has a lead. And so I thought that was just kind of hit me like a ton of bricks in the middle of this game. Like, he's going to break the record during a season where the Browns win 5 or 6 games at best, right? I mean, that's incredible.
Yeah, I mean, there were 8 different players involved in a takedown of Geno Smith today, which is unusual. It's one of the wildest looking defensive box scores I've ever witnessed. And it was a little bit of a day of history because there's the Shedeur thing in the quarterback record that we talked about. You are looking at what I think is the best defensive player of all time that I've watched. I can't talk about the 40s and 50s, but to do it now in today's world, I just think it is. All that's happening. And I was just thinking to myself, like, having watched Browns football dating back to the mid 80s, and there were some really good defenses there. This is the best defense the Browns have ever had on one of the worst teams the Browns have ever had. So it's kind of like, oh, because like, had this been paired with like even the offense from a couple of years ago when they snuck into the playoffs twice, like you don't know what they could have done. I want to say one quick thing before we talk Shedeur. Like, Bernie Kosar, who came very close to dying, had an incredible feature on ESPN. We can only show a photo of it, but like, it honestly, it kind of set the tone for this day. Like, Kevin Stefanski went and met with Bernie. I mean, Bernie like came days away from passing away. I really think that that's how close it got. So all of this happened on one day for Browns fans in a very lost, weird season where there was a couple hours where like it felt like the old days a little bit. And there's the Shedeur part of it. I mean, that's just a young quarterback. I don't know what will happen with him.
Let's talk about Shedeur and get well soon, Bernie Kosar. And great to hear that he was able to find a donor. And Bernie is like the last great Browns quarterback, right? So
yes.
Shedeur Sanders, I'll give you a little before and after. Here's what Shedeur said before the game.
Feels good, but we cool, calm, collective like. This ain't nothing to us.
And what do you hope to show against this Raiders defense, your teammates, yourself, and these Browns fans with their play today?
I'm who they've been looking for. Appreciate it.
And here's Sanders after he threw for 209 yards and a touchdown on 20 attempts.
You know, so a lot of people want to see me fail, and it ain't gonna happen. You know, it ain't gonna happen.
Connor, if you would give us a little review of Sanders' performance around those quotables.
So I used to work at a golf course, and the starter at the club would lock the golf carts so we couldn't pull the governor off and make the golf carts go faster. And he would. And so that was the entire Browns strategy, where Tommy Reese and Kevin Stefanski were like, I don't want you to do basically anything. And they barely allowed him to take any chances. As soon as the ball got into the red zone, it was Quidchon Junkins, it was Wildcat formation, and they didn't want him to throw in the red zone. They punted the ball in this game in their opponent's 27-yard line, which I don't think I've ever seen before. And Shedeur, he made this one incredible play. It was like a 55-yard bomb on a 3rd and 8 where he scrambled. Otherwise, it was very much, let's get the ball to our yard after the catch monsters, and you have a lot of them. Harold Fannin made an incredible play in this game. The other rookie running back, whose name escapes me at this moment, took in his first touchdown on like a 60-yard check down that was blocked so phenomenally well by the rest of the Browns. It was unbelievable. And so this was very much a, we don't want you to do anything game. And in those little moments, I mean, he threw a pick, he had another near pick in this game. And I think there were some moments where, you know, he had some check downs, like perfect example. There was like a 3rd and 27, and all they wanted to do was just move up closer in field goal range. But Shedeur is bombing the ball down the sideline because he wants to hit a guy in single coverage and is not getting them any closer to a field goal. So he wants to do more. The coaching staff doesn't want him to do anything. And that battle, I think, kind of went on in ping pong throughout the game.
That's a totally fair assessment and totally accurate. I mean, I thought that when he was backed up in his own end zone and made that pass to Harold Fannin, who did. If Harold Fannin did more on that, but that was seeing the field pretty well. I thought the bomb that's the longest play they've had all year. I think his nature is to be aggressive. And you're right. That's a clash with philosophy with how they want to use him right now. But I will say one thing, because I do think he's in a different situation that only comes around at quarterback every once in a while. And there's a lot of and it's understandable. I'm not defending the person, but there's sort of a willingness amongst some people to want to see him fail. But the reporting coming out of the building this week was that he was all in. The locker room likes him. And these are things you'd want. It shouldn't be unexpected, but he was super plugged in and did everything he could to be prepared. So it's I don't feel that this is there's a toxicity here. I see the opposite. It's probably not easy to be him, and he's going to grow, but it's he's under a bit of a different telescope or microscope, not telescope, than other players. That's just the nature of it. The Browns are in a weird situation at quarterback once again.
I do feel like a lot of people would trade places with Shedeur Sanders in a second. I think it's pretty easy to be a Sanders in some ways.
Right, but you get what I'm saying, right? I feel like he's a lightning rod, and I think a lot of people aren't rooting for him. I just sense that.
Yeah, I mean, I just got to be real, dude. I do sense an arrogance to him that I think, in addition to everything else.
Right, but we like that in other quarterbacks. We don't like it in him.
You got to back it up. You got to be a player. And
Sure.
He hasn't achieved anything in this league, but he did win a game today, and let's see how he does next week.
Yeah.
My problem is with this whole discourse, the pro Shedeur camp, even in their most outrageous thoughts, have been able to mainstream their complaints to where the broadcast led with, oh yeah, Shadeur's getting more first team reps this week, didn't get any last week, because he's the fucking backup and the starter is also a rookie who needs all the starting reps. I mean, we can go through this ad nauseum, but the fact that it's still a complaint that he didn't get any reps last week and that things are going to change so much now that he's getting all these reps, it's ridiculous. We have to conform to the normalcies of an NFL life. He's not going to just get 8 starter reps every week because he's Shedeur Sanders. No other quarterback gets that, Yep.
Let's move on. Yeah. Let's finish up with the Falcons and Saints, who played football today. Hey, Kirk Cousins is back. And he wasn't sad. Okay. The 14-year vet threw for 199 yards, 2 touchdowns, filling in for Michael Penix, who had ACL reconstruction surgery, unfortunately, and he's out for the year. But on this day, Cousins did the job of a backup, guiding the Falcons to a 24-10 win over the moribund New Orleans Saints. Cousins was steady, kind of what you would have hoped he would have been the last 2 years for the Falcons. It has never happened for a number of reasons, but he a little vintage performance at times. He had a 49-yard scoring pass deep down the middle to Darnell Mooney in the fourth quarter to give the Falcons breathing room here. The Saints were, just this team, they just put me to sleep. I know Shuck has had some moments. Tyler Shuck, their rookie quarterback. They didn't score an offensive touchdown in this game. Their only touchdown in the game came on a pick six by Justin Reed in this game. But otherwise, it was just one field goal for the offense in 4 quarters. So the Falcons end their losing streak. The Saints continue to steam toward a top 3 pick. And in many ways, this game, if there were people in the stadium, and certainly some people watching at home, but I don't know if 3 days from now anyone will be able to definitively prove this game happened.
It's a very fair. I had this on a deep laptop at one point, and I looked over somewhere during the second quarter, and I realized that the programming was not the game, but a sailing event called the Race to Abu Dhabi. So it wasn't that it captured the interest of my own mind today. So
yeah, this was the race to draft day, basically. I felt like what I was watching. The Saints, even this is the first year where even you don't get fun Taysom Hill highlights. He had
one wild play though.
Yeah, but I mean, on a 4th and 1, they gave him the ball. He tried to throw a pass. It fell incomplete. On another play, they were knocking on the door, and a snap gets fired right over his head. Picked it up and threw it away. And then the flag comes out for intentional grounding. It's just like nothing really works for the Saints, and man, they go to Miami next week, so that's going to be another game. It'll probably be at the bottom of our rundown. I don't have much more to add on this. If Mark, you said you kept your eye on it, is there anything else you'd like to add?
No, I was watching a sailing event. I saw that play, but I kept it on the sailing contest.
All right, there you go. Let's see. Ooh, all right. Are we learning the identity of Nate Burleson's tailor? What the hell is he wearing today? I know he's a fashionable guy and everything, but holy shit. Somebody's got to talk to him.
Not his
like
tailor.
Looking like someone from Sessler's home planet in the flying saucer. I am Zoltan, the all-knowing. And I got my very own podcast.
You shush.
What is the breaking news, Justin?
And they gave your man my very own podcast.
The highest paid offensive coordinator in the NFL has been fired. That would be Vegas Raiders offensive coordinator Chip Kelly. Bye-bye.
Oh, well, how about that?
I feel like we knew that was coming.
We were just talking about that. I think I said he won't be within 100 miles of the team by next year. Well, I guess by Monday morning was the answer. Connor, this is probably a very emotional time for you. Go ahead.
Yeah,
you've always been a chip. You've been a
fault.
chipologist.
You have.
For
You've
as long
been a
as we've known
think-piece
you.
writer on Chip Kelly for going back a decade.
Give Connor some sad music underneath him as he gives the eulogy of his beloved Chip Kelly, fired after 12 disastrous weeks. Man, what the hell is going on with the Raiders? They are a mess. Go ahead, Connor.
Well, clearly it's someone else's fault. I don't know if they're not running the plays the right way, but I just hate that this keeps happening to like one of my favorite people in the world. It's such a bummer. And am I wrong now? And that's never a place we want to go because I'm never wrong. But the thing I'm 100% serious about is this was a Tom Brady connected hire. You go out and you poach him from Ohio State and you make him the highest paid offensive coordinator in the NFL. And I think that's the stunning.
Okay, Justin, that's good.
That's kind of the stunning piece of all this is that really Tom Brady's first staff with its fingerprints all over it is an abject disaster. And there's no 3D chess to this. I mean, Pete Carroll was on a short-term deal. He might not be back next year. You lost your offensive coordinator 12 weeks into the season, and Ashton Jenney is in no way looking like something that can be replicable for next year in terms of like, okay, he's in great shape offensively. We got it all rolling here. So outside of a few sprinkled in nice games for Brock Bowers, really a strikeout from that first year of the Davis Brady partnership. And you got to wonder what happens from here.
I mean, who made this? How does this decision get split up in terms of the power structure? Is it Brady dialing in and saying this is an embarrassment, get this out of here?
I mean, I thought it was a little odd when there was a game a few weeks ago when they showed Chip and his crew in the booth, and then like in the same booth, a row up, it was Tom Brady in like a full Tom Brady suit or whatever. It was, I guess, during a Fox bye week. Who knows how that all works? But yeah, like I'm sure Brady's seeing the same thing we saw, and I think it didn't help matters that they look so bad and non-competitive on Monday, and then they come back today, Sunday, against the Browns. And I know the Browns have a very good defense, but they just look unprepared and like no answers, and it's embarrassing. They entering Week 12, Vegas was 30th in points per game, total yards, rushing yards, EPA, and red zone efficiency. So yeah, total strikeout.
It looked that way.
Yeah. All right. So Pete doesn't even get to flip that lever in the offseason. That doesn't help Pete either, because Pete, you want to be able to fire the coordinator. Not you don't want to, but have that as your option in January. now if this season continues to go the direction it's going in, it's going to put a little bit more of Pete Carroll in the crosshairs, Connor, I think.
And imagine how bleak it got that, again, this is sort of the makeup of your staff. There's no clear second option here. It's not like, in some other teams, there's maybe a guy that you want to get a fresh look at this. That's not how this staff is constructed. I mean, Chip was supposed to be the offensive czar. Pete was supposed to be the defensive czar. And they were supposed to, run this thing on kind of parallel tracks. And there were even people talking about legitimately when Chip took this job, that was someone that Tom had hoped would maybe get the head coaching job, like when Pete was done with coaching. And so this is a big swing and miss. You knew he wanted an innovative offensive mind with how hard he went after Ben Johnson in that recruitment process, but Ben was always going to go to Chicago. And so this really puts him as a salesman, as a pitch man out there in the wind this offseason. I mean, he's got to get some work done, Brady. This is,
you'd also have to ask, do the Raiders, and if you're Brady, Pete Carroll feels in a different category to me than other coaches that you would fire in season. But do you get a jump on the hiring cycle by cleaning house? Because what's the future here?
You would hope that that's the advantage of having Brady if you're Mark Davis, where Brady's already met with all these top candidates because he interviews them all in Zoom, right? He's already seen these guys. He's already spoken to these guys. He's spoken to the guys that they coach. And so you're hoping that maybe you don't have to do that. You can save yourself the embarrassment of an in-season hire because you have the workaround, right? You're already doing your homework on the next coaching cycle without saying that you're doing your homework on the next coaching cycle.
All right, let's keep an eye on it. It's the only thing of intrigue left to this lost Raider season, just the latest lost season in what's been a long string of lost Raider seasons. All right, that's it. That's a full rundown of the Sunday that was. Remember, Monday Night Football, Panthers, Niners coming up. We'll have that recap on Monday night and the Power Rankings update, Mark and I, and then a full week of shows on Thanksgiving week. Yeah, I know. You thought, Thanksgiving week, you take it easy, but no, pedal to the metal.
The opposite.
Marc Sessler insists that we actually work harder during the holiday week.
I do. That's the makeup of our staff. I'm the one that's asking us to grind deeper, and that didn't come out right. But just to continue to work with incredible effort.
Well
I'll stop
said.
talking now.
As always, Mark. All right, we'll see you in 24 hours. Till then, do what you must. Heed the call.
Nationwide is so much more than a great insurance company. They're one of America's largest financial services companies. Like how I'm more than Saquon Barkley, the NFL's reigning leading rusher. I'm also the NFL's leading husher. Shh, hush up back there. Wow, I might have just set the hushing record. Well, almost. For your insurance and financial needs, Nationwide is on your side.
Nationwide Investment Services Corporation, member FINRA, Columbus, Ohio.